France, 1788. The kingdom looked rich from the outside, but inside it was rotting.
Bread was expensive, taxes were crushing, and ordinary people were running out of patience. For most families, bread wasn't a side dish, it was survival. And when bread prices exploded, so did anger.
At Versailles, the royal court lived in glittering comfort. King Louis XVI wasn't cruel. He was worse for a crisis like this, indecisive. France was drowning in debt after expensive wars, royal spending, and years of financial mismanagement. The state needed money, but the rich didn't want to pay more taxes.
Harvests failed, winters were harsh, and as the poor got poorer,
France kept squeezing the people who had the least left to give.
So Louis knew what desperate rulers do when they run out of options. He called the Estates General,
A giant political meeting that hadn't been assembled in generations.
On paper, it looked like reform. In reality, it exposed the problem. France wasn't one country politically.
it was 3 estates, and the people doing most of the suffering had the least real power.
The third estate, the commoners, represented almost everyone. But under the old system, their votes could still be outnumbered by privilege.
Then came one of the great political blunders of history. The delegates found themselves locked out and took it as a warning.
Inside a tennis court, they swore they would not leave until France had a constitution. That moment transformed a tax crisis into a revolution.
Louis hesitated. Then he did what nervous rulers often do when politics gets messy. He called in troops.
In Paris, people assumed the worst. If the army was coming, then reform was over, and repression was next.
Pamphlets, rumors, speeches, Paris was becoming a city of political electricity. Every conversation felt like a spark near dry gunpowder.
Then came the firing of a popular finance minister, and many Parisians saw it as proof that the crown had chosen force.
The city armed itself. But muskets alone weren't enough. The people needed powder, and they knew where some of it was stored. The Bastille wasn't just a prison. It was a symbol, a giant stone reminder that royal power could lock you away.
At first, people tried to negotiate. But revolutions are fragile things. Once fear,
Rumor and armed crowds mix together. Misunderstandings become bloodshed.
the shooting started. Nobody fully controlled the moment anymore. The crowd pushed harder. The defenders fired back.
Paris crossed a line it could never uncross.
When the Bastille fell on July 14, 1789, the message was bigger than the prison itself.
The people had taken on royal authority and won.
When the king heard what happened, he reportedly asked, "Is it a revolt?" The answer came back, "No, sire, it is a revolution."
Across the countryside, panic spread. Peasants attacked symbols of feudal power, and rumors made the kingdom feel like it was coming apart everywhere at once.
Faced with chaos, lawmakers did something extraordinary. In one emotional night, they began tearing down feudal privilege. The old order was finally cracking.
Then came the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, a bold claim that liberty and
Equality belonged to people, not just elites. But here's the problem. Declarations don't fill stomachs. The people had shaken the monarchy, but they still needed bread, stability, and proof that change was real.
See you on the next part of this video.